Welcome to Cold Coffee Chats, the podcast where we dive into the beautiful chaos of motherhood, the ups and downs of marriage, and the journey of growing our faith. I'm Brittany.
I'm Aubrey.
And we're your host. Each week, we'll gather around the table, coffee cups in hand, to share stories, insights, and a good dose of laughter. Whether you're navigating the sleepless nights of new parenthood, balancing the demands of family life, or seeking deeper connections in your marriage and spiritual journey, this is the space for you. Together, we'll explore the real, the raw, and the relatable moments that shape our lives. So go find that cup of now cold coffee that you probably laid down somewhere, get comfy, and let's chat about the beautiful mess of life. Okay, guys, we are so excited for you to listen to today's episode of Cold Coffee Chats. Today, our podcast guest is named Stephanie Ellis, and she is just an awesome guest today. She is a mom to 5, and I was so excited to get her story and her opinions and her advice on raising kids with a wide variety of ages because she's an expert. She talked to us about raising kids and marriage and just all the things. And then we also got a little insight of how something super crazy happened to them and their family. Their daughter, Whitney, recently starred in a Hulu series reality TV show. You may have heard of it. It's called Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So we got to hear a little behind the scenes, how that affected their family, what it was like to watch a daughter go on a reality TV show, and just the impact that had on them as a family. And it was just so interesting. If you've heard of that show, then you know, how big it got and how probably unexpected the fame was from that. But we also thought it was super cool because we were watching it and Stephanie made a few appearances and it was so cool. I like to say she was my favorite character on the show. But anyways, give it a listen. Let us know what you think and have a great day. Hey there, podcast listeners. We're excited to share a special message from our sponsor, White House Foods, a family-owned and operated gym located right in Winchester, Virginia. At White House Foods, they're not just about great taste, they're dedicated to quality, sustainable, and family traditions. For over 100 years, they've been planting and nurturing apple trees to bring the best apple products on the market. Whether you're craving delicious applesauce, tangy organic apple cider vinegar, or rich apple butter, White House Foods has got you covered with their all-natural, high-quality offerings. So the next time you're shopping, remember to look for White House Foods products. Taste the difference that comes from family care and dedication. Visit their website at whitehousefoods.com or look for them where you shop for your groceries. Thank you, White House Foods, for sponsoring our podcast and for bringing the best of Virginia's apple harvest to our tables. Okay, so we're just going to hop right in. Just start off with because we know you, but people who are listening won't. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in Utah.
Well, I'm from Virginia, grew up there. I ended up coming to BYU to college when I was pretty young. I was 17, and I never thought I would stay in Utah. But I did, and I'm glad I did. I love it here. Brady the person I married, ended up moving out to Utah, transferring schools out here, and we got married. We ended up, because I think we had been here so long, finishing school, just kind of felt established, and Utah was growing on us. It's beautiful here, and we stayed, and we're glad we did.
So Brady was in college in Virginia when y'all got together?
He was, yeah.
And did y'all know each other before? Or how did you meet?
So I met Brady actually at the mall. He was he was good friends with someone that worked at a store next to mine and also knew my manager. And so my manager kind of arranged it was a blind date, a double date to go out, and that's how we met.
I love those kinds of stories because now it's like everyone just meets on, apps. and Facebook.
True. Which can be scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Brittany met her husband in the balcony of her church. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Did y'all always think you would have a big family, or did that just kind of?
I think we both wanted a big family for sure. I don't know that we really had a set number.
Mhm.
It turned out I actually had a really hard time conceiving, which I think it is why all of my children my first three are kind of close together, but after that, there's huge gaps. So I just took what I got.
What do you think, like, because I can relate with like the age range. It's not as big of an age range probably, but we have 14 to almost 3 now, or no, 15 to almost 3. And it's interesting and it's been really fun now. What would you say are like benefits, but then like also some like negatives to having such a wide range of kids?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, my range from my oldest to youngest is 22 years.
Oh,
And so it can be good because it's really helpful to have older kids help out and kind of develop a relationship with younger children in a different way. And I think the hardest thing, that age gap, was just, I am having a brand new baby and then my teenagers are like out till, all hours of the night. And so I just remember that was really hard to juggle and sleep. And, normally I would go to bed and instead I'm staying up waiting for teenagers to come home. And so that was hard. Yeah, that was hard. But I've enjoyed it. I mean, all my kids are awesome. And I think the benefit kind of for me has been, some of them have really kind of only been, at least at home, an only child because their siblings as adults had already left the home.
right.
And so it's good. It's just different. Their relationship is definitely different.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, we're like related somehow. I don't know like the technical, like what we would call you guys, but we just like refer to you as our cousins that live in Utah.
Yeah, that's easier. I mean, technically, so your mom and Brady, my husband, are first cousins.
Okay.
And so that would make,
Is there a name for that?
That would make you to my kids first cousins once removed, is the technical
Okay.
reference. But yeah, we have the same thing. We have cousins out here in Utah and we're actually second cousins to them and so close. We're so close with them. And we just say cousins. I mean,
yeah. I think last time I saw you, we were in the gel nail polish, and you came up and you were just doing everybody's nails.
oh,
And then gel got really big, and I was like, Stephanie was on something.
Yeah, you like we had never heard of it, and then it became a thing here. We were like, oh my gosh, we knew about this.
Yes, I remember. I think I was still practicing then, but yeah, I'm a do-it-yourselfer, and so especially having mainly girls, I just would buy that stuff, and we'd have our own little spa days instead of paying to go do all that.
Yeah. When you were saying that your kids, like, they're really good with your older ones are really good with younger kids, I was going to say that Brady, your son Brady, he's a big hit around here. He came, I guess, 2 summers ago and like worked with us for a little bit, but he also like, he stayed with my parents. So my kids love him. They still ask when Brady's going to come back. He went to a pumpkin patch with us, and like that is in their core memory every year. Now, even this past year, like a couple weeks ago, they were like, "Remember when we went to that pumpkin patch with Brady? That was so cool."
I think he was like the only one in our family who could like keep up with them, but like also
How funny.
Well, the only boy in our family is Benjamin, and he's 8. And so it was like a big brother figure that it would keep up with them.
He was so excited to have like a boy that would like play with him, play soccer and all the things with him. So he's like, he's sort of famous.
He's a favorite here too. I mean, Uncle Brady. Yeah.
I'm sure he's like the best uncle.
Yeah, they love him.
Oh, and I guess, he's the only boy amongst
He
four
is.
boys.
Yeah.
He is the only
He
boy.
helped.
And
Him and Benjamin, like they had that bond, and it was really funny because Benjamin's the only boy in the family, within the cousins, like all of it. I don't know how genetically that happened, but it has. So
that's
And
interesting. Yeah.
so what's the age gap between Lexi and the youngest?
oh, Lexi.
Let's see. It is almost 10 years.
Wow, okay.
Do you feel
So,
like
yeah.
she is like way more like go with the flow because she's had to, kind of been carted to everything for the older ones? Or
Do you mean Abby, the youngest?
yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, she's really good about telling me her feelings. I know, things have been crazy just with moving recently. We still live in Utah, but we moved to St. George. And in fact, it was just the other day. She's like, I really feel like I need to spend more time with you. And so
Oh,
I'm so appreciative of that because most kids don't tell us,
Yeah.
what they need or how they feel, at least in that way.
Yeah.
And so I was like, step back and like, yeah, things have been crazy. And I think it's been hard for her. She probably out of all of my children definitely has been more like an only child. And so, we did things that I probably normally wouldn't have done. We got a dog and that has been really good for her. But yeah, I mean, I definitely don't parent her the same as I did my older kids. She definitely kind of, as you said, just goes with whatever's going on. She's just hanging out with us. I'm appreciative too, though. My oldest kids, they help out a lot. She stays with them if, we have to go somewhere or do something and we're out of town. So I think she's doing okay. Like I said, I'm appreciative that she tells me,
Yeah.
hey, some attention.
Yeah. Usually they just like start acting up, but
Yeah. Yeah.
no, go ahead.
So in Utah, you all moved. How many of your kids live near you in Utah, and like where are all your kids? Because I think they're sort of
So,
spread out a little bit.
so yeah, up until recently, we actually didn't live close by our kids, and that made it really hard. I mean, your relationship, especially with your grandchildren, is so different when you don't, I think, live close by each other. Well, I know it is. And my kids never experienced that. My kids pretty much grew up not really knowing who their grandparents were other than just a visit.
Right.
And so it's hard to develop those relationships. And that was the biggest motivation of our move. Brady, especially, he wanted to move more than I did, but he's like, I just want to be by our kids and by our grandkids. And I think it had come to a point where, they had finally chosen where they had been wanting to live. I mean, Haley had been in Hawaii for 7 years, which is why we vacationed there a lot the last 7 years so that, we could see and visit with them. But Haley actually moved to St. George first.
Okay.
Yeah, last January. And we're like, okay, that's close because we had no idea where they were going to end up. Her husband's pro hard enduro racer, and so they were looking, back east and all kinds of different places where he would be able to ride year round. And so they went to St. George, and Brady's like, oh, I would consider, moving to St. George. And I love St. George, but it is truly a desert. And so I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. And then shortly after that, Whitney told us that she decided she is going to settle in St. George. And so we kind of were like, okay, it's at this point, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And it's just worked out really well. I mean, our son, Brady, he actually lives in LA, but his girlfriend, her parents live in St. George. And so
Okay.
they're there a lot.
Yeah.
And so already I've seen him a lot since
Yeah.
since we've moved, even though he lives in LA.
Yeah.
And then our daughter Lexi, she's in college at the U. So she's still in Salt Lake City. And of course there's Abby. She's tagging along with us wherever we go.
That's awesome though. You all have like your own little kind of commune in St. George.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many grandkids altogether then do you have now?
So I have 4 and 1 on the way.
Oh.
Haley is expecting. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome. So I know y'all, like everyone used to travel a lot. How did you kind of navigate keeping a family close and connected when everyone was kind of scattered about?
I think that's why we traveled more so because of that. We created, like I said, Haley lived in Hawaii, and so we would create family vacations and meetups in Hawaii for everyone to gather there. And
There's worse place together, right?
yeah, oh my gosh, right? I mean, it was heaven when she lived there. We loved going to visit.
How long did she live in Hawaii for?
We lived there 7 years.
Oh my
quite,
gosh.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Can't imagine.
Do you have any advice, because you've been married a long time and you guys have been through a lot of seasons? Do you have advice for those going through like the intense parenting season right now, just like keeping your marriage strong with parenting? Because parenting, I don't know, it takes up so much of you.
It does.
So what would be your advice?
Oh gosh. I mean, I'm trying to think of the different seasons because the advice changes based off of that. But looking back, I think Brady and I are actually complete opposite on parenting, which is a trial in and of itself. And so, not necessarily in the beginning, but I've definitely learned that when we disagree, first of all, never disagree in front of your children. Kind of take that back. They've got to see you as a team, not as somebody or someone that they can divide.
Mhm.
And I think just for me, I would just kind of step back, look at the big picture. How important is this to me if we were disagreeing on how to parent our kids and just compromise. I think too, they do need to see you as a team and as a couple that genuinely loves each other. And so it's really important to take time to spend with each other. Definitely easier for us now than it was when our kids were younger. And when our kids were younger, we also did foster care. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I
wow.
had I had sometimes 10 extra kids in my house. And so I remember those days. I mean, it was definitely a learning experience for me. Definitely things I would have done different. I was on autopilot, to be quite honest, a lot of the time. But I survived. And of course, communication. We've gotten better at saying and not assuming expectations from each other and just saying, hey, I really need help with this, or, you know, just talking about how to tackle things and make them better.
You said assuming expectations, because I feel like that's like the biggest conflict point for couples, and even any relationship really is like assuming that they have the same expectation that you do. And yeah, it's not the case all the time.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't read our mind. What?
Exactly. Brady had a health scare, actually, too. The last few years, he had a heart attack and then a year later had a stroke. And so those were really life-changing for us. And it's interesting how your perspective changes too, on your life and your relationships. And he started doing this thing, in the morning, he'd be like, is there anything I can do for you today? And at first I was just like, what? What is he asking me? He's never asked me this before. What is he doing? And then as he just kept doing that every day, I was like, oh, wow, I like this. And yeah, cool thing. I mean, and again, setting clear expectations of what we each need and want and not assuming what that is.
Yeah, I love that. So we're going to shift a little bit, and you guys have had to us, it seems like this is crazy. Your daughter was on a reality TV show, and I don't know, like it seems pretty huge to us. I don't know where you're at, if like
It's a big deal.
people might just be like, yeah, we know them, like not a big deal. But here it's like, I remember watching the commercial. I had no idea Whitney was going to be in it. I had no idea. And I was like, oh, this seems this seems good. This seems intense. And I love reality TV. But my favorite reality show, and really the only one I have time to watch normally, is The Bachelor. And I just love it. I know it's cheesy and fake and all the things, but I love it. So I was like, Jason, I think we need to watch the show. I think we need to like watch an episode. And then you posted and you were like, Whitney's gonna be on the show. And I was like, what? Sounds like, well, we're definitely watching it. So yeah, we started watching it, and I just, what was it like for you? What was it like for your family when you found out? And then were you guys just like, all right, like when she told you that this was gonna
I
happen?
mean, it was over like a 3-year period because they filmed a pilot first to see if, it could be picked up. And I just remember thinking and actually asking Whitney, like, what? Like, what are you guys gonna talk about? I mean, because originally it was TikTok moms, influencers in Utah was the original take on everything, not what it ended up being. And I was just like, I mean, I don't watch reality TV. And so I see now, I mean, they love the drama. They love to see, what's going on here and there. But I remember my first reaction was, I don't even know what this would be. I mean, it didn't make any sense to me. Why they would even consider filming a reality TV show for Utah TikTok moms. And so the show gets picked up after originally starting 3 years ago. And we were like, okay. And I think even the girls, their families too, I don't think they thought it would be as big as it was. And it was. I mean, it was the number one show. And even, I don't know if you saw recently, ABC has now picked it up.
I was going to ask you, like, how do you guys feel about that? Like,
oh gosh. I mean, so yeah, more and more people are going to see it, right? And so, I mean, it's been interesting. We definitely get a lot of comments, especially from friends and other family members. I mean, as far as how we felt, I really didn't know what to feel. I mean, until it was over.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who's watched the show. And to be honest, I probably would have never watched it if Whitney hadn't been in it. I actually watched all the seasons with her.
Was that hard for you to like watch as a mom, see her kind of get?
Yeah, it was really interesting to see how much, not just with Whitney, I mean, I would say with the whole production.
Yeah.
Their job is to make a number one show or to make a great show. And hey, they did it. I mean, kudos to the producers. They were amazing. But it is interesting to see how much can be taken out of context and completely change your point of view based off of what you see, what you're seeing, than necessarily what really happened.
Right.
And so, I mean, yeah, people who know Whitney, I mean, it really didn't bother me. I think what upset me the most was afterwards. I mean, she was a pretty big influencer, and she definitely has more people stopping her and saying, hey, can I take a picture, and being noticed by her. But she kind of was used to, I mean, if you're going to inject yourself in that kind of atmosphere or that kind of life, you are going to be subjected to complete judgment. And unfortunately, especially on the internet, it's usually negative. Because I don't know why. It's like, why is it? It's like, we want the tea. We want we want to know what all the juicy,
I just think that's like it's in our nature.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be that way. Also, I just think it's like people who are going to go online, like way more people are going to go online and say something negative than say something positive.
Yeah.
I think
and that's definitely happened.
Did that a lot too. Like it really like enhanced it because people were bored and at home.
Yeah. So I think she was used to that because of what she had experienced. Of course, it was at a higher volume, but she was used to that. I think what the hardest thing for me after watching the show was that first week after. She was really sad and having a hard time kind of processing everything. And had made a decision not to be involved or not to do a season 2 at all. And went to lots of therapy sessions that week.
Oh.
And I think she was used to the hate, but what she wasn't expecting was the girls that she filmed the show with kind of jumping on the bandwagon of that hate and them knowing the real story.
Right.
Mhm.
And so that was hard. That was
I
hard.
can't imagine like navigating real life, but within a made up version of real life. You know, I can't imagine. And I wondered like how did she cope through opinions? And because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like, it's reality TV. Like that's probably not what happened. That's, you know, but a lot of people don't. And they just start attacking these characters that have been edited
It's
To be a character.
to be a character. And really like they're these real people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephanie,
That's
did
right.
you know you were going to be on the show?
Oh gosh, yes. So let me tell you, they really pressured the girls to get their families involved and get their families on the show. I'm sure for just more content and more choices of which way they were going to go or how they were going to put the show together. And Whitney's dad, Brady, was like, absolutely, absolutely not. She asked us repeatedly, hey, they'd really like to, film us having this conversation or that conversation, or they would like you to come with me to this or that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we were asked. And I actually didn't think much of it and didn't care, but this is probably a example of how I needed to support my husband. And he like, absolutely not. We're not going to be involved in that. And Whitney got mad. She kind of got mad at us. She's like, I don't understand why, you guys won't, just do this or do that. And so after being asked many, many times, it was towards the end of filming when we did those, I think it was 3 scenes we ended up doing. 2 of them were just with me. Ended up being also with Lexi, actually, in one of them at the last. Lexi wasn't even planned on.
She's like, I want to be on camera.
She just happened to be home, and they asked her and asked me if it was okay, and I was like, yeah, I mean, if she's over 18, if she wants to make that choice, go ahead. And so I felt like those were harmless, to and I did want to support Whitney, and we had told her no so many times, and Brady didn't care if I did them. I mean, he had just said, no, I'm not going to be a part of those conversations. And then he finally agreed, of course, in the one scene that he's in, because he felt like it could not be anything but a positive thing, although that got turned into a negative thing too, as far as her announcement of her birth. But
the pregnancy test.
Yeah, gosh, it's like, man, I mean, I guess people could be grossed out by that, but even that, I was just like, that wasn't a big deal to me at all.
It was funny. It's just like, I think too. Oh, sorry.
No, did you know that she was going to announce her pregnancy at that dinner?
They do tell you what conversations are going to be had and what you're going to be talking about before each filming.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that one we did not.
Oh.
That was truly reality and live. And we learned right then that she was expecting. And so that was
cool. At least you'll always have that like recorded and
yeah. And on Brady's perspective, they had just said, hey, we just want to see your family. We go out to dinner a lot as a family. It's like, we just want to see how, what you do. And so that was what he thought was happening, that we were just out for an evening together like we normally are and just having dinner together.
Yeah.
So
I have like all the behind the scenes questions, and I know that we're getting short on time, but were you actually baking cookies when they came in there, or were you just like, oh, let me do something with my hands while she talks to me?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I did need to make cookies for something, and I knew they were coming over filming. I mean, I remember that day. I mean, I didn't even have any makeup on. Even though I knew they were coming over, it just ended up being a really busy day. But but no, I mean, it was, yeah, let's have you do something while you have this conversation instead of nothing. And I'm like, well, I need to make cookies. And so that's what we did.
Honestly, that was like one of my favorite scenes. I was talking to someone and they were like, who's your favorite in there? And I was like, Whitney's mom. Like, she's so real. You could tell she's just like not really amused by like the production of it. Maybe that was just me reading into it, but I just love how real you were. You're just like,
Yeah.
Whitney. Like, it was just so fun. It was just such like a typical like real mom moment.
Yes. Our mom would have been the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting too. I think they were trying to make a take that we don't talk about sex and we just avoid those conversations because of our religion.
Mhm.
And it was interesting, the edit on that, because the real reason why Whitney was, kind of bringing up all of that is that wasn't what you guys saw in our conversation. That was like a 45-minute conversation, which you probably only saw, 2 minutes of it. She, out of all my kids, she was by far the most sensitive. And I mean, when I would swear, if I was upset or something, I mean, she literally, and I'm talking as a young adult, not just a little kid, she would cry. She would cry, like thinking I don't know what she thought, if she thought I was going to go to hell or something because I swore or what. She was so sensitive and sensitive to the spirit, which is actually something really special about her. But she was my child who was like, la, 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 la. I don't want to hear these things. I don't want to know. And so it makes it seem like I didn't talk about sex with her in that conversation. I definitely didn't talk to her about it as much as my other kids because she just didn't want to have that conversation.
That's so funny.
Stephanie's here to tell her truth.
I am. I'm like, what do you, and even Lexi in that conversation was like, Mom's already talked to me about these things, and she's wasn't even dating anybody seriously yet. I mean, it was just interesting. But that's also is Whitney's perspective. To this day, she will say to you, I can't believe my mom did not tell me, didn't prepare me.
I think that conversation was so funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. I did not tell. So at first I didn't tell Jason, my husband, like which one was Whitney. And so we're watching it. I'm just like kind of, and he's like, can't believe I'm watching this. But like he will because I asked him to. And it was the scene where like they're moving in and like they got champagne and she was like, I've never had champagne. And like she went to drink it and she like spit it out. And she was like, is that what it's supposed to taste like? And it was just really funny. But he was like, I think she's my favorite. She seems very wholesome. And I was like, hey.
Oh, goodness.
Like, oh. So, yeah. He was like, I don't understand why, because he's seen some things on social media where like, they're like, where she's perceived as the villain. He was like, I didn't see that. So that's a man's perspective. But she's very wholesome.
Gosh. Well, she's developed a potty mouth, but other than that, yes, I would agree with you. She's very wholesome. And so I think the important thing is she knows herself where she's at, even though it's hard to be, receiving all of the comments and the negative. But I mean, Whitney's a lot of things. Again, these girls didn't get to where they're at because they don't not seek attention or drama.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel like she's very like natural and like like I was like she should go into acting. Like she's very, not because I think she was acting in the show, but she's very like, I don't know. I
like she should be on Broadway.
Start a petition. She does want to be an actress, which is kind of what her motivation was too, I think, in being involved in the show. And she's done a few small things, but that would be, I don't know that she wants to be a reality star, but she would love to be an actor. Yes, for sure.
Totally see that.
Well, I guess just to kind of wrap things up, if you could tell listeners anything about maybe the misconceptions they've come to, what would you say on behalf of like your family
and religion? Because I feel like I watched the show thinking when I saw the commercials, I was like, oh, we're gonna learn about being a Mormon, not Mormon. Mormonism. Is it Mormonism?
Yeah,
Is
you
that
can say.
right? And I didn't feel like it was. I feel like some of the girls even said that they don't practice or they're not active in their.
Yeah, I mean,
So
one's not even a baptized member, and yeah, I would say only two of the girls actually practice,
okay,
and one of those would be Whitney.
right.
I think it's, of course, they didn't know that was going to be the title of the show until
Oh, okay.
they had already started filming. But again, that catches your eye, right? That catches you. Oh, what's going on here? And I Whitney thankfully put out something that our church had put out about, if you really want to know about the religion, you should go to the source. And I appreciated that she did that because it's not doctrine. It's not necessarily how all Mormons live, of course. It's a story about these girls who actually happen to live in Utah. and and some of them have, either practiced or are practicing or are familiar with the faith. And so I think the hardest thing was it's like in any religion. I mean, we all have a different degree or level of conviction or faith or how much our dedication is. That can be true again of any religion. And I think it's just that. And this is really more just a story of girls in their lives, not necessarily a specific religion.
Yeah.
I think they tried to make it about that.
But
But
you're right. Like it was catchy and it drew attention. So
yeah, it definitely drew attention.
And the intro with and the coats, it was very,
Oh my gosh.
very intense.
See, that's something that is so funny. I was like, Whitney, if she showed me the picture of those after they had done them. And I was like, this is weird. This looks and I'm like, why? And she's like, believe me, they asked us to do lots of other things that I was like, no, we're not doing that. I think they wanted them to make a TikTok or something in front of the temple. And she's like, no, but that would not be okay.
Yeah.
She honestly thought, well, mom, we look cute. We all match. And I was like, no, this looks weird. And
the music was so intense though that it really was catching. Like
it is catching. And like I said, those producers, they're smart. I mean, they even write down to the color. I mean, that color even gives the vibe of just what's going on here.
Yeah. I think though, like I'm one, like I think that anything that shows that people who, because I think there's this mindset that like, oh, they're part of this religion, like they're perfect and we could never be that. I think like, although it was probably so hard and I can't imagine like opening up your life, I feel like it does give this like, yeah, they have this religion and they have this faith, but they also have these trials and they have these imperfections. And I think that transparency and that honesty is just so brave. And I think it's always an opportunity to like reach other people who don't feel like they could ever be that level of perfection that they perceive. And I hope that it reached people that way. I feel like Whitney, I follow her on social and stuff. And I think she does a really good job of like, yes, like I'm Mormon and I am part of this religion, but I'm also like a human and I'm a person. And
Yeah.
I think that's really, I think when people can do that, it's really special.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. She's definitely been judged within the community of Mormons who are maybe more devout. Just her choices of modesty and clothing and again, it's just like we're not here to judge. I mean, everybody has their different level of what they feel comfortable with and what they believe in and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yes. Okay, so really quick, most embarrassing mom moment or just like a recent embarrassing moment.
Oh
Do
gosh.
you get embarrassed? We interviewed my dad and he's like, I don't know. I don't get embarrassed.
I mean, I'm probably a little bit the same way. I mean, Brady is always like, because I'm pretty easygoing. I'm pretty like whatever. But I guess if I had to think as far as parenting or mom, and I don't even know if it's embarrassing, but I, not as much now, but was always looking for my phone. I mean, that was embarrassing. I mean, I could always never find my phone. I mean, to the point where one Christmas, Whitney made this little, she's very artistic, and she made this painting of Christmas on this board and kind of showed all of our family members and what we do at Christmas time. And, she had her dad on this ladder putting up lights and just everyone doing something different.
That's so cute.
And she had me being like, "Where's my phone?" was my little caption. So, yeah, I just was always looking for my phone. I don't know why.
It was probably those kids moving it around.
Who knows? Who knows?
Putting it on the kids.
Probably.
Oh my goodness. Maybe it's mom brain. We shouldn't be excused for these things.
It's true. It's true.
You have anything else?
No, I don't think
Do you
so.
have anything else you want to add before we?
No, this was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
course.
This was, and good luck with it airing on ABC too. I'm sure that will bring like another round, but you guys will all be prepared now. You've had like a ease into it.
True.
We'll be waiting for Stephanie to be baking some more cookies and then pouring out some advice.
I don't know. They're filming right now, and they film in Salt Lake, and so I know we came down for a baby shower for Whitney. So
You might be in an episode.
probably the baby shower, but other than that, I don't know that we will be in Salt Lake when they're filming. So Whitney will have to do this one without her family, which she'll have no problem. She'll be okay.
Does she have to move for filming? Does she have to move back up there temporarily or?
Oh, she's just here temporarily. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were really great they got her a house here to stay in while they're filming.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, congratulations on the new grandbaby and the new one coming. And thank you so much for chatting with us. We were like fangirling a little bit when we watched the show, and then we were like, it was really cool. But we also I was really excited to get your insight on motherhood and advice, because I knew you had like a large range of children and all of your kids. I mean, I've only really know Brady personally, but the rest from social and everything, they just seem like really great kids. So
I know. Isn't that so cool though? And see, I mean, that was the same point I was making, like your
Sponsored by
relationship
White
with
House
people is
Foods,
so different when
serving
you
generations of
live by them
consumers
and when
since
you're around them.
1908.
So
yeah.
I know I was really grateful for that opportunity that he spent the summer with you guys.
Yeah. It was so
cool.
nice getting to know him.
Yeah. So 4 you're doing
Yeah.
that average is really good.
And actually, our family's like pulling for him. I mean, they were like begging him to move here.
I know. I told him too. I'm like, what a great opportunity. I'm like, you should do it. And his girlfriend, man, he's
I think he might really love her.
I think so too. He just didn't want to leave. So
I get it.
It's really too bad.
Well, thank you so much,
course.
and have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later.
yeah, you too.
Bye.
Thanks.